Here we are, pricing calculator stretcher frames number 2. So we were talking about our override button. So if we're pricing anything in our drop-down menu here, and the crossbars that are immediately put in automatically aren't what you want, you can click the override button and put in what you want. So let's say someone wants a 48 by 60, but they want 3 crossbars, 1 long and 2 short. You can come over and put in 2 and hit calculate, and it will keep it there and give you the price with extra crossbars. Sometimes, let's say that you're doing a 72 by 74, let's say. Unclick the override. The calculate price is going to give us 3 crossbars because that 74 is over 72 inches. We have a crossbar every 36 inches. So as soon as it goes over 72, which is 36 and 36, it's going to want to put another crossbar. We don't really need one there at this size because it's going to be just strong enough with only 1 in each direction. We'll click override, go back to 1 there, and click calculate price, and that'll give us the correct price. Now, we'll get rid of the override, and we're going to do the collapsible, which is our dovetail stretchers, using the dovetail joints that are collapsible. So if we wanted a 72 by 72 stretcher, an 1.5 inch light, this would be our price, $239.20. But if we wanted it as a dovetail, with our dovetail construction, it's a little more. So we're going to click collapsible, and rather than $239.20, it will be $258.93. And if we wanted that at 1.5 inch pro bar instead of pro bar light, we would go up 1 price, 1 3/4 inches, hit calculate again, and that's going to be our price for a pro bar 72 by 72 1.5 inch dovetail collapsible. We talked down here about stretching and priming, and that's pretty self-explanatory. You've got the different canvases. We're going to be adding to this with our number 4, number 6, number 8, etc. But you can also do different kinds of priming. So let's say we're going to do a medium linen, which we do most of at this size. We're going to stay at 72 by 72 up here. Then we'll hit calculate price for the medium priming, and it's going to give us a price right here. Excuse me, medium linen. If you wanted to do, generally the priming we often do on that is the sprayed GAC, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to do custom priming, 2 coats, that's standard, and over here the primer type, we have either gesso or the GAC 400. We're going to click on the GAC 400, click calculate price. That gives us the price for the GAC on its own, for the linen and the stretching, and the total. Then we've got the price up here for the pro bar and the grand total down here. So it all comes together. This is for 1.5 inch pro bar, not 1 3/4 inches, that would be pro bar light. 1.5 inch pro bar dovetail, because it has the collapsible checked, stretched with medium smooth linen, with a 2-coat GAC 400 sprayed, and that's what that total piece is going to cost. Okay, let's clear it all out. I'm going to close this, and we're going to open it up again. And I'm going to scroll down, and I want to price some 2-inch pro bars, so I'm going to go to 2 1/4 inch pro bars, and I'm going to do a big one. I'm going to do one that's ultimately going to have some folds in it. So I'm going to say it's 84 inches high by 140 long. And I'm going to hit calculate price. So that's giving a price here of $620.95, but that's not the price we want. Whenever we know that we're going to do a foldable, first of all, we forget about this folds thing. That we never use ever. Okay, so just forget about that. But when we know we're going to need a foldable stretcher, one that's long like this, we always click on the collapsible because the folders have bigger crossbars, etc., and that's how we get the additional pricing for the thicker, bigger stretcher frames. So we click collapsible and we do calculate price, and that gives us a little bit higher price because we know it's going to be foldable. We still have to add a foldable price to it, which is a whole separate price that's not on here. But this would be the price for the stretcher frame. Then generally the extra foldable price is another $195. That's obviously open to change depending on how many folds, etc. There's only one problem here. If we're doing a foldable stretcher frame, that means we can't have an odd number of crossbars here. And that makes sense, doesn't it? Because if you're folding a stretcher in half, right down the middle, you need an equal number of crossbars on either side of the seam. So we could either have 2 crossbars, which would give us 1 crossbar on each side of the seam, or we need to add a crossbar because we need to have an equal number. It's always going to be better to add another crossbar. So I'm going to put 4, so we have 2 on either side of the seam, and then I'm going to hit override so that it will accept it. And there's our price. We're going to do an 84 by 140 foldable. Forget about that. We'll add the folds later. It's foldable because we put collapsible there. We know we need to have an extra crossbar there so that we have an even number of crossbars with override, and that's our price, $722.77. Excuse me. Let's say we wanted to stretch some pre-primed number 10 canvas. There we go. We'll throw that on there. Let's see what it says. That's an additional $348, and it shows it right there. That's our grand total, minus the $195 that we would tell them that's added on to this price. Okay? I'm going to close this out again. We're going to open it back up again, and we're going to try one more large foldable. So I'm going to go with a 2.5-inch foldable. So I'll go up to a 275, and I'm going to go 100 times 180. That's a big one. We know it's going to be foldable, so we'll hit the collapsible button. Let's see how many crossbars it gives us. It gives us an even number of crossbars, 2 and 4. So we know that price is fine. We're going to have 2 crossbars on either side of the seam, right down the middle. But what if it was even longer and we needed to do more than 1 seam down the middle? Let's say we wanted to have 2 seams. Let's make it 220 inches long. What does that tell us? That's giving us 6. So this gets a little more complicated. We could do it in half, but that would make a stretcher that's 100 by 110, and that's not going to fit through any door. So we're gonna want to separate that 220 into 3 pieces. 220 divided by 3 equals 73 1/3. So if we wanted to do it in 3 sections, we would probably still have 6 crossbars, 2 on the side, 2 in the middle, and 2 on the other side. That's your cost for that. Okay.